Hi guys, please excuse my messy room. I wanted to talk today about my Sansha La Pointe shoes that I brought. I was in a bit of a dilemma because Grishko mucked up my custom order and instead made a standard pair of Myers rather than a custom pair, so I was without shoes. So I went point shoe shopping, went to all the shops, tried all different brands as usual, and this time I decided to go with a pair of Sanshas, a new style out called La Pointe, and these ones are number 3, as you can see there. And these shoes at first in the shop did work for me. They were a really nice fit and I got right on the box, so I decided to purchase them. I went for a Sansha size 6X, which is basically a UK free, which is very bizarre because in Grishko's I'm a 4.5, but you know, sizing does vary with brands. I thought they was fine. I got them home, did a class, then realised actually my bigger foot needed to be accommodated and I was in agony, so went back there and I ended up buying another pair. So that, you think that costs quite a bit of money, that's like 70 quid's worth of shoes. So I was wearing the 3 on my smaller foot and the 4 I had to go a size up on the bigger foot. And they still wasn't working for me. I tried everything. I really broke them in. And as you can see, here they are here. They are a nice shoe. I would say they're better for people with more of a wider foot configuration. I'd say more of a toe configuration that isn't so tapered like mine. They said that the shoes were fine on me and perfect, but I don't think so. If you look, the box is actually quite square. It's meant to be like semi-tapered, but to me that's quite a square box. And if you're putting a foot like mine, which is semi-tapered toes, I've got a low to medium height profile in a shoe that's quite square like this, your foot isn't going to be very supported around here and you're just going to basically slide around and get blisters, and it's basically just going to keep hitting the bottom of the box. I've tried everything to make these comfortable and I just keep getting very bad big toe pain where as though I feel I'm crunching to the box even though they're the right length for me. So I'm very disappointed because that's £70 worth of shoes down the drain. Now unfortunately finding the right shoe is hard. I found my right shoe, but as I said, Grishko mucked my order up, so I'm currently awaiting shoes. And I just wanted to talk to you a bit more about Sansha shoes. Now they may work for you, so I do suggest you go and try. There's many different styles they do. But personally, I think the construction of Sansha shoes are nothing like a Grishko. Grishkos are way more supportive around here in my opinion. The construction of the box is a lot tougher, lasts longer and supports the foot better. I feel in Sanshas, even in other Sanshas I've tried, that the box construction is just not feeling right and comfortable for me. I feel that even the satin isn't that great on them, to be honest. I feel they're very shoddy. They're made in China, so that, you know, it's not the best place for point shoes to be made in my opinion. Whereas obviously Grishko's are made in Russia. I do feel they're probably made very cheaply and obviously they sell them at a higher price so they get a good profit. Good for them, not very good for us because we're buying what's, you know, a cheap shoe. I do believe they're constructed the same way Grishko's are, in the sense that they're made layer by layer and by hand, but parts of the shoe are machine stitched. The Shanks aren't too great either. With this shoe, the Shanks came away from the sole quite easily, as you can tell. Now that doesn't affect the shoe itself, it still means the shoe's wearable, and this shoe has a 3/4 shank and I've cut it down a little bit more because it wasn't quite 3/4 enough for me. But the Shanks aren't all that. Personally, if I did like this shoe, I don't think it would last very long at all. Whereas Grishko's last me longer, the Shanks are more solid, and if you have experience with Grishko's, or if you don't, I usually wear a super soft shank or a soft shank, which in my opinion compares to most standard shanks in other shoes such as Block or Blosh, whatever you want to call them, and other brands. Whereas a medium shank in a Grishko to me is like a hard shank in other brands. So I can wear mediums, but they take a long time to break in, though the shoes do last longer. And of course, Shanks also relate to your arches as well. If you've got a low arch, you should be in a softer Shank shoe. Otherwise, you're not going to get on your box. Though sometimes you can, and the shoe lasts longer. But I've been taught that, you know, softer Shank for a lower arch. So I just wanted to share with you guys about these shoes and what I thought of them. They're Sansha La Pointe and they're number 3, but they come in other numbers as well. I think there's 3 other models of this particular one. You can buy them online, but I don't recommend. I recommend you go to the shop and try them on because they're a new style. They'll fit differently. And they do have a fairly low crown, which is the height of the shoe, profile or crown, whatever you want to call it. They have quite a nice low vamp, which is excellent because if, like me, you like a low vamp because you've got shorter toes, then this is a shoe for you to try, just in case you might get on with it, unlike me. The vamps here, for those who aren't in the know, vamp goes from the platform up to the middle. So it's a nice shorter vamp, so it's recommended for those of you with shorter toes, not those of you with longer toes. You will not suit this shoe. It's more of a square box, so best with people who have got not so much tapered toe configuration, more people with toes of even length, or even more of a square foot would be good in this shoe. And it's a 3/4 Shank, and this is a standard Shank. They don't seem to come in Shank strengths, these ones. So I would say it's a fairly flexible Shank. It does break in quite nicely, but the demi point, it's meant to have an easy transition in demi point, but I don't think so. I think the demi point was quite hard to break in. I think they wouldn't last a ridiculous amount of time. I'd say the Shank is comparable to most block point shoes. So I would say, you know, that they're quite soft, but they're not overly soft, if that makes any sense to you. Well, I hope you've enjoyed my little video about these shoes, and I certainly won't be buying Sansha La Pointe shoes again, in my opinion. I've tried all the other styles of Sanshas, and none of them seem to suit my foot, but then again, I do have a very specific foot, and finding a shoe off the rack for me is a nightmare. Okay, then, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, and there will be more videos soon, I promise.